All right, what is going on today, chat? Another Wednesday, another grade review. How's it going, everyone? Those of you who are new here, my name is Galaxy Gaming, and every Wednesday we do what's called grade review. So what this is, I help the community pre-grade all of their cards absolutely for free, because I hate seeing you guys upset when you guys get grades you don't want. So I'm here to change that. So we're just going to get right into it. So the first person up today is the one, the only moderator, Betty. So we have Team Aqua's Kyogre to go over today. We have Iono, Blastoise EX, which is the really good EX promos, Charizard EX, and Pikachu EX. So we got a lot of heavy hitters today. So we're going to be going over that. I also am going to go over some cards I have prepared for a show this coming Saturday. And to wrap up the night, we are going to be doing some Halo Combat Evolved with Wasteland over on Twitch and TikTok. So we have a lot of fun things planned today. So if this is your first time here, definitely make sure to say hi in chat. Always love to meet new people of the community, and we are going to get right into it. So first up is the Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. So we're going to be looking at 4 main grading criteria: centering, corners, edges, and surface. So all 4 are going to be reviewed today. And so we are going to start off with the Team Aqua's Kyogre. So first off, centering's pretty good. Top, bottom, left, right looks great. Nothing of issue there. And it's funny because this card and the Groudon are the 2 really big chases of this set. So everything else is pretty mediocre at best. So let me just make sure that everything is good to go. Beautiful. Okay. So first thing I see is the corners. So that top right corner looks good. Top edge looks good. Now, the first thing that I see often on these types of cards, where it's a little bit easier to spot, which is this guy right here. So that little bit of whitening is predominantly just something stuck on the card. Just wipe it off with a microfiber cloth, and don't give PSA any reason to dock you any points on the surface. But aside from that, so far so good. So that corner looks good. Edge looks good. That corner looks good. That bottom edge looks fine. That bottom right corner looks good. That right edge, again, a little bit of some fuzz there on that side. And overall, thank you, Jacob. I really appreciate the kind words, my man. And from what I can tell from this surface, it's actually pretty clean from a scratch perspective. And I'm just going to use the raw footage here, the raw photo, just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. And it does not look like I am. So the front looks really good, aside from that little bit of whitening on the top. But that can just be wiped off. No issues there. I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you so much for the kind words. And if anyone has any questions, as always, please let me know in chat. One of the things, and I'm actually curious if you guys would be interested in something like this. I'm kind of planning on making a master guide, both from a vendor and a buyer perspective after doing this for a few years. So let me know in chat if that's something that you would like me to do as like a master guide. There's a lot of lessons learned that I wish buyers would do as well as sellers. And I am a seller, so definitely not holding back. So let's see. Centering looks good. Let's look. There's a lot of whitening on this bad boy for sure. So we have 1, 2, 3. The name of this one is pretty much going to be whitening on the edges here. So we got another one there. So a lot of whitening. So when I see this amount of whitening, we're already out of like near mint range. So anything at 7 or higher is pretty much out of the question at this point, because there is a lot of whitening on this card. So we have some right there. This bottom edge looks okay. Maybe a little bit here. So then again, that on the card stock can probably just be wiped off. Have some right here, 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 and here on that bottom right side. And pretty much everything on this side here on this right side, like all right in this section here, and a little bit of there. Have some whitening by the P. So a lot of whitening on this card for sure. So we're probably in a light play range. We haven't really looked at the surface, or this, like the surface of the back quite yet. So we might even be a little bit worse, to be quite honest. But let us take a look. So a little bit there. So pretty much anything on like the surface outside of these like edges can be pretty much wiped off, would be my guess. Like right here by that P, or here on the top. So stuff like that, not too worried about, but you can kind of see all these markups that I have highlighted in green. A lot of that is just whitening. So this is the Team Aqua's Kyogre EX. So we just looked at the front. The front is actually really good condition, with the exception of what I have circled in the top left and the mid right. But those are just 2 dots that can just be wiped off with a microfiber cloth. So the front, from what I can see from the picture, looks to be pretty good, but it's really the back that's giving us a lot of issues here. So you can kind of see all that markup that I made on the back. And so the big thing that I kind of use as a metric going between a 5 or a 6, because I don't think it could get a 7 or higher just due to the fact that there's so much whitening on the back. It really just depends on how aggressive the whitening is, and if we're introducing things that would kind of lead us into heavy play or 4 or lower, which would be creases, folds, dents, that sort of stuff. And it's really just kind of a hit of a lot of different points of whitening. And with this card having all this whitening on all 4 corners and all 4 edges, my guess or my estimation would be a PSA 6. If there was a little bit more, or if it was more aggressive in nature, I think it would warrant that PSA 5. And the other thing that would warrant the PSA 5 is if there are more scratches that we can't see on the front, because the front looks really good. It's just the back that's really kind of dragging it down. Adele, this is not my card. So I do submissions for the community every Wednesday. So people will submit their cards in the grade review channel of my Discord, and then every Wednesday I'll review them absolutely for free. So just to kind of help save people some money, kind of educate on what to look for when grading, because there's so many people out there that get disappointed with grades that they submit. And I'm just here to kind of give my knowledge that I've learned. I started doing this since 2017. Grading, and then I started doing the streaming probably 2 years ago, which is crazy to think about. Am I still doing submissions tonight? The submissions are closed for tonight. I actually am going to be doing some show prep. We just kind of see in the background here. I have a lot of cards that I have to start preparing, so I'm going to talk about that, as well as I'm going to be playing some Halo with another content creator later tonight at 9:30 p.m., so super excited for that too. But yeah, Betty, I would say that this Team Aqua's Kyogre, just due to the back, would most likely get a 6. Just because of the whitening. And that's a really good example on how much whitening can really impact the overall grade of a card. What set is this from? Jason, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that very much. I think it's Team Aqua, Team Magma, but I might be wrong. Someone in chat might be able to... Like, I started getting out of it in Gen 3 and started getting back into it like around like Sun and Moon. That was kind of like my gap of like, I didn't think Pokemon was cool. So I don't have a lot of the set names really like cemented in my mind, but someone might be able to say it in chat. I know I'm a fake chat, fake poser, scalper man. You've heard it here first, because I don't remember what the set name is. All right, next up is the Iono. So with Modern, I say this often, the 2 main things that prevent Modern cards from getting a 10, and in my opinion, it's a PSA 10 or bust when it comes to Modern, so anything like Sword and Shield or Current, is centering and corners. Those are the biggest 2 things that will make or break a PSA 10, and we're going to check to see if this Iono suffers kind of that same fate. So the centering on the left and the right look okay. Now with these types of supporters, the top is always going to be naturally quote-unquote thinner than the bottom because of this supporter section. So you can kind of see it kind of goes a little bit above like the kind of the line, if you will, or the border. So we do have to kind of keep that into consideration, but it does look a little bit thicker at first glance when kind of comparing the bottom to either the left or to the right. That's kind of my way of kind of measuring one of the edges if the other opposite side is hidden, or if it's like an e-reader, for example. That's kind of how I do that. I'm sure if the e-reader comes up tonight, I'll be able to show you guys what I'm kind of talking about. But so far the front looks okay. It's just really I'm kind of nervous about this being a little too thin for my liking. But we'll look at the back to see if there's anything that really stands out. So for the back, again, guys, one of the things that I cannot stress enough is anytime you see these little bits of whitening, it's more likely than not pieces of cardstock that was in the pack that kind of just gets stuck, because all these cards naturally have a little bit of like dimpling. You can kind of see like some of this texturing, for example. A lot of cards have that, right? So sometimes those little bitty white fibers get stuck in these little pits, and that can result in your surface subgrade going a little bit lower, or possibly lower if that doesn't go off, because at the end of the day, PSA isn't going to clean these cards for you. So you want to make sure that you do your due diligence prior to submitting these to PSA, because otherwise you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. Ty, once I am done with this Iono, I'll be more than happy to explain how to submit your cards. This is a free service for anyone's wondering. It is completely free, always will be. And I'll go over when I'm done with this Iono on how to submit your cards for a future grade review. So that's really the only thing that I'd probably wipe off, is just that top part. But aside from that, there might be, and I don't know, you guys might be able to tell me in chat if you can see this or not. And actually, I'm going to take a screenshot real quick, just to make sure that I can really kind of zoom in on what I'm talking about. So this, like for images, and this is actually really important. Tyler, thank you for the follow on TikTok. Appreciate that very much. I'm also streaming over on the Red app. I don't know if you can say what actually. TikTok's weird, but anyway, that's where I'm streaming it. But anyway, Ty, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Arm, I'll be talking about that in a second. If you need to rehold their card, but you don't think it'll actually 10, would you do it? Because I know there is a chance that they will kind of do a quote-unquote reassess. I think, I guess it just depends on how bad it is, Clayton, to be quite honest with you. Oftentimes, if you're looking to resell it, but you don't want to reholder it, if it's above 250, you could sell it on eBay for the authenticity guarantee, and you can kind of have some of that risk taken off as well, as long as you properly document what is wrong with the holder. But sometimes if there's something stuck inside of it, they are kind of liable to fix that mistake. So it really just depends. So the things that I'm kind of seeing are right about here. So I don't know if that's just because of the image and how it was taken, or if it is that whitening on that edge, or the background. So when you're looking at cards on eBay, all the tools that I'm kind of showing you, you should also kind of do on your own as well. Because it's really the not knowing what's kind of quote unquote being hidden, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And in this case, Betty, who submitted this, is not hiding this, for not hiding. There's no reason to. But that's just something to kind of keep in mind when you're looking at cards online. So as we kind of look, again, that's kind of the stuff that I'm talking about. You can just wipe that off with a microfiber. And a little bit what appears to be some whitening in that top left card. But that's really about it. If that isn't the case, then, it's really the centering on the front is really what I'm kind of worried about the most. But aside from that, the centering looks really good. On the back, again, the back is way more lenient than the front. It's 75-25 from PSA standards. But I would say if there's whitening on the top right and the top left, it probably wouldn't be worth submitting. And that front, the centering is a little too dicey. I would kind of put that almost like as a gambler's 10. You might be able to squeak away with it, but for me personally, I'm more kind of conservative when it comes to grading. And if someone wants to kind of gamble the 10, I would just sell this as raw, if they want to kind of take that risk on their own. Hey, King, how's it going? Glad you're not grading my cards. I know, Lay. I'm on it. You can't fool me with your bribe in your submission. And I don't let my emotions grade, right? If I have a bad date, I don't let that impact your Charizard. So yeah, I probably wouldn't grade the Iono. So for those of you who are asking, I know a few of you are asking how to submit your cards. Again, this is a free service. So if you're watching me over on the other app, it's in my description. If you're watching me on TikTok, the link is in the bio. Once you are here, you're going to click or tap the Discord icon. That's going to send you to the Discord. Just make sure if you're doing it on mobile that you either have Discord app installed or select the top 3 dots in the top right to select open in browser. Once you're there, you're going to go into the grade review channel and submit your cards there. So it is absolutely free, always will be. Just make sure to read the rules, like don't have it in sleeves or penny sleeves, top loaders, graded, stuff like that, because if there's a scratch, I don't know if it's on the plastic or if it's on the card. But it is first come, first serve, so the faster you submit your cards, the faster I'll review them. And queue is generated every week in that order. So just kind of keep that in mind. Cheerful, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Dave, thank you for the like. You get $300. No, I don't get paid. I wish, it'd be cool. Some people donate though. Oh, by the way, there is a giveaway. So if you guys are new here, I do giveaways once a month now. Giving away some of my mystery products that has Obsidian Flames, Paldan, and the winner for this week is Mike. So congratulations, Mike. You'll be getting that. So hopefully your 151 pulls are good. And I'll be announcing that next giveaway probably at the end of the month. So definitely make sure to stick by that. It's completely free as well. And so next up, we are looking at the Blastoise EX. So we're in the XY base set promos. So let's take a look. So centering on this Blastoise looks great. Not really worried about the corners. Corners look great. Yes, Skylar, that is exactly what I'm doing right now, my friend. So yeah, I offer this for a free service. Save your money. Don't gamble on grading. I'm here to help the community as much as I can. I have a lot of kind of experience with this stuff. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in chat. Be more than happy to answer them. So the corners look good. Surface looks really good. No little bits of that whitening that we saw on that Kyogre EX in the beginning of stream, so which is really good because these water types are a little bit darker in nature, so a lot of those will kind of come up a little bit easy. Yeah, Skylar. I try to do my best. There's a lot of kind of hustle culture in Pokemon. I just try to do my best to help out, man. That's really all I like to do. I do this every Wednesday, so I have a show this Saturday, so tomorrow and Friday is going to be me pricing stuff. You can kind of see a lot of my slabs back over here. I've been prepping for a show, so I got a lot of work to do, unfortunately, so I'll probably just be streaming tonight. But yeah, this card on the front looks really good. The corners look great. The edges look good. Gimme Cards, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. And Shaggy, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that very much, guys. All right, so the back. So there's a little bit more going on in the back, so let's take a screenshot here. And if you guys are enjoying yourselves so far, I always appreciate a like or share. It really does mean a lot. Help with the almighty algorithm. You know how it is these days. It is what it is. King and Skylar, thank you guys for the follows. Appreciate that very much. And again, if you guys have any questions, I've been vending for about 3 years now in New York. So I am pretty transparent about how I do my business, including collecting sales tax, which a lot of vendors do not do if they are required to. So I have a lot of thoughts on that. It seems like really weird that a lot of people don't, but it's illegal technically. It's very good, Shaggy, yeah. So I answer a lot of different questions, so I don't mind getting into the nitty-gritty. I followed myself. You followed the host. Welcome, you. Okay, so here's something that I think this one's going to be, you guys can kind of agree or disagree with me. Let me know in chat if you do disagree with me. Ghostface, Ryan, and Josh, thank you guys so much for the follows. Appreciate that very much. So one thing that we have to consider when we're looking at cards online is, and I'm really going to get kind of in the weeds here, but kind of stay with me for a second. So we can kind of see the light source in this section right here, right? So the light source is kind of coming right on the top of the Pokeball. So one of the things that we have to keep in mind sometimes is this side right here. So there is an argument that this right middle there's a lot of whitening, which, to be fair, appears as such. But there's also a degree of how much of that is reflecting light based off of the light source on the picture. So sometimes that can happen. So we kind of have to do a little bit of kind of investigative work when we're looking at the card and where the light source is coming from. So some of this might not be as bad in person as it is in the picture, but we kind of have to kind of keep it in the back of our mind that there might be some whitening in this section that I have highlighted that might be hidden or oversaturated, so it kind of swings either direction. So we kind of have to keep that in mind when you're looking at cards online. So the top right corner looks really good. Again, these little bits of whitening can just be wiped off, so I'm not too worried about that. Corb, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. So the right, top left side, rather, looks good. You bringing a Lugia V to this show? I am. I'm bringing a PSA 10 copy, to be quite honest with you. No raw copies, unfortunately, but I have a PSA 10 that is still floating around in my case. And I'm bringing a Gengar VMAX from Fusion Strike, PSA 10. So the left edge looks good, actually. So we do have a little bit of whitening here in the bottom left. So right off the bat, so we saw the front was really clean. There really wasn't anything that I was able to highlight or anything like that. So we're kind of in that 9 to 8 range just from those 2 points of whitening. No, I'm always down for cash or trades, DT. Always down. I think it's kind of. Here's a hot take. If there are people that are just looking for straight cash for higher end cards, it means that they are in it for a lot of money, that they are almost in debt because of it. Because if you had the capital to purchase the money and you're offering trade and cash, in most instances, you should be able to take both. If you're only accepting cash for higher end stuff, it means that you either paid too much or went into debt to purchase it. In most cases. There's obviously cases where that's not true, or it's just how like the seller decides to do their business. But if someone's telling you that they buy and trade, it's kind of weird that they're like, well, this card, I'm not taking trades, kind of thing. But there is a time where they can be more picky with their trades. You know what I mean? So got a Mew V from Fusion Strike and a bunch of 151 full arts. Perfect. So we got some right there. Got a little bit of whitening. That bottom edge looks good. Fabe, thank you for the follow. If you don't have the money, just don't get it. I mean, trades are fine, right? I mean, that's kind of the whole point. If you're talking from a buyer perspective. From a seller perspective, yeah, I agree. If you don't have the money, don't go into debt for cardboard. So we got stuff like that. Okay, so one thing that's really interesting about this light source that I was kind of talking about, we do have a little bit of what almost looks to be a pit here, right in the beginning, like in the middle of the M there. So that might be a little bit of a dent, or it might be something kind of stuck on the surface of the card. So we'll kind of have to keep that in mind. I am Muppets. Yep, that is exactly what I'm doing, my friend. So let's see. So the back. So really, the front of this Blastoise, again, is pretty clean. There's really not much that we're really writing on the front of this card. Can I send you a card to take a look at? Yes, you can. The queue is closed for tonight, unfortunately. But the faster you submit, which just go into my link tree in my bio and go to my Discord. I do it for free. So the faster you submit, the faster you'll be for next. I do this every Wednesday. Jordan, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Did you have one at PokeFest Syracuse? I did, DT. I did. And Jordan, thank you for liking the live. Appreciate that very much, guys. So the front, again, is really clean. It's just the back. The back is kind of what's going to be taking this back a little bit. So we have these 2 bits of whitening on the top, which I think can be pretty much wiped off. Dogman, thank you for the follow. And Muppet, thank you for the light. The light, because I'm seeing this light. A little bit of whitening in the bottom left. So right now we're kind of in that probably like soft 9, hard 8 range. But it's really kind of when we look at this bottom right side. So we're starting to get into the 8s or 7s because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of whitening here. And really, it's going to be these 2 right here. So right where the M is and right in this section here is really where we're kind of getting a little bit worse. So if the M is a dent and this is all whitening on the right side, we're probably looking at a mod play contender because of the mild dent and because of that being aggressive whitening. If that is true, again, I was talking about the lighting in the beginning. However, if the right side is more lighting than whitening, you're kind of coming into that 6, but it's really hard to pinpoint, especially from an online picture. That's why it's really good to go to shows sometimes, just as a pro tip, because you can kind of see this stuff in person. So we kind of have to do a little bit of a range here. So worst case scenario, you're probably looking at a 5 if the whitening in that dent is actually true, a true dent, true whitening. However, if it's not, meaning that it's like best case scenario, you're probably looking at a 7 if this is something that can be wiped off, or if this is something that it's not as bad as what it appears. So it's kind of like a really weird range, but that light source is really kind of giving me a little bit of an issue as to why I kind of have to do a 5 to 7, because those two are really big. Ron, thank you for the follow, if I didn't say that already. And Game Changer, thank you for the follow. So Josh says, so if everything seems flawless besides one small micro dot on a corner, can it still get a 10 or no? Josh, if this is your first time here, one of the things that I love to say is exactly what you're talking about. If the card is flawless besides one little bit of whitening on a corner, I call those gambler's 10s. So I have seen cards with that exact same scenario that have gotten 10s. But I've also seen the exact same like condition on a card get 9s that are modern. So it really depends. For me personally, I'm like, as a business, from like a return on my investment, if I am kind of looking at a card as like a gambler's 10, I would rather just sell it raw and give that opportunity to a buyer if they can then kind of take the time to sit on a submission for 20 like 45 business days or whatever. I'd rather just sell it from my personal experience, because I'm more conservative like that. So like the cards that I submit, like they really need to be like flawless for me to not have a gambler's 10 and just submit as though like my confidence in it getting a 10 is more in my favor than kind of like a gambler. If that makes sense. Hopefully that wasn't too rambly, but that's about it. So, okay, so the next card. And again, if you guys have any questions about anything that I'm doing, please let me know in chat. I had a few people saying I take cash to fund shipping others out to grade. So there's some discussions about trading versus buying for certain cards. Like I said, the statement that I made, I think when people are trying to trade towards your higher value chase cards, I think it's okay for the seller to be more choosy, because at the end of the day, trades need to be mutual between both parties. So that's why it's really important for both to kind of come to agreements, in addition to being very transparent about your percentages. So, doesn't change your mind on Gambler's 10 if the 10 value goes up a lot. I mean, at the end of the day too, Matt, if someone, like, because I've had that happen before. If I have people that come to my booth and say, hey, you have some really good gradable cards, that's really good for my business at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So there's more from a business perspective. There's more to it than just always grading 10s and always taking the gambler's 10s. If someone comes to my booth and says, hey, I want to really look at your cards because you are really aggressive, and there might be stuff that I think is a 10 or that I don't think is a 10 that you may think is a 10, there's nothing really wrong with that. If you're right, good for you, man. Like, that's awesome. Like, come back and buy more stuff that I don't think are 10s. That's not a bad thing. And that is more of a long-term investment for folks to come back to my booth, constantly looking at the stuff that I'm buying to see if there are more instances where they could or couldn't get a 10, if that makes sense. So Chris says, so can a 9 that's a gambler's 10 be resubmitted to become a... Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, it's a gambler's 10, so sometimes it can. That's why, honestly, I'll have cards when someone asks me, hey, what are some really good 10 content? Like, do you have any gradable stuff? Sometimes I'll say, like, hey, here's some 9s that I have. If you want to try to crack them and resubmit them. I do that often, to be honest. So that's, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't be correct, Chris. What is that Charizard not textured? Am I tripping? No, these are not textured traditionally, JSR, but that is a good observation. So these XY promos are not textured. But as you kind of go down or go more towards like the modern, that's where more of that texturing kind of like really started kicking. I mean, there's some XY like Phantom Forces, I think, like the Dialga was textured, but these ones in particular were not textured. So yeah, really good questions, guys. Please, if you want to keep asking away, please feel free. There's really good questions that I think are really worth answering. But until then, we're gonna look at this Charizard. So I saw a few people. Josh is really on it. Is the bottom is a little bit thinner than the top. So what I'm going to show, if you guys have never measured centering before, there's so many different products out there. There's so many different tools, whether it's you're using AI or in person. I use a transparent ruler with millimeter markers, which is a little bit more accurate. You can use centering tools. You can use AI grading, whatever. It all boils down to the true fundamentals, which is the ratio. So on the front, for a card to be considered as a PSA 10, it has to be within 50-50 ratio, which is perfect centering, left, right, top, bottom, to 55-45. So there's a little bit of wiggle room with PSA 10s on paper. So how you would do it, so if I take a screenshot here, so the top, and again, this is on a computer, this is a little bit, that might be a little bit off, but you guys can kind of get a general idea on what I'm talking about. So what I normally do is kind of take this ruler, for example, so we're going to kind of take it 90 degrees here. And so we are going to go all the way up, and we're just going to measure one of these sides. So we're going to start from the top, go right down to the bottom, right about there. And just for simplicity, I'm just going to call them tick marks. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd say roughly 5, like a little bit shy, but we'll call that 5. So 5 tick marks on the top. And then we do that on the bottom. So we try to do our best to line this up as best as we can. So we go from the bottom to the edge there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 roughly on the bottom. So we have 5 tick marks on the top, 4 tick marks on the bottom, which is 9. So that's the sum of the two. So all you have to do from there is divide one of the sides. So we'll divide the top by the sum. So we are at the infamous 55. So 0.555. So if the grader is having a good day, he had a great date, dinner went great, vibes are good, next day he comes into work feeling chipper, feeling refreshed, he rounds down and he gives you a 0.55. So 0.55, 0.45, or 55-45 ratio. On paper, you've made it. But let's say the date went horrible, he lost his wallet, he lost his job, but somehow he got rehired or whatever, comes back next day and says, I'm going to take my rage out on this poor person who submitted this Charizard EX. I'm going to round up to 56. Technically, you would not be able to get a 10 because it is now 56-44, which is just shy of being that PSA 10 contender. So centering is kind of the first phase. It sets the ceiling for how high you can go. If the rest of the card is completely flawless, but it is off center to where it doesn't warrant a 10, the best grade you can get is a PSA 9. So this one, hopefully your grader's in a good mood, man. hopefully that's the case. So just like a quick talk about that. Let's see. I'm just gonna catch up with chat real quick. Wesley, I pretty much more or less just answered your question there. Josh answered yours. Military, yeah, you're pretty much spot on, Josh, to be honest. Why are people sending you cards that obviously get a poor grade? I mean, sometimes it's kind of cool to kind of have your stuff looked on stream, and sometimes not everyone knows, right? I've been doing this. This is the 85th episode. I do this every Wednesday, and there's always people trying to learn stuff and trying to unlearn bad things from other streamers or other content creators that just says everything's a 10 or everything will buy you a new house or whatever. JSR, thank you for the follow. Sometimes they're crooked, though, and one side of the top might be thicker. Yeah, exactly. Wesley, thank you for the follow. Do that rule measure. Sab, I will definitely do it. I'll probably on another one. It takes a little bit to explain. But basically just measure the top and the bottom of the left and right and just add the values and divide one of the values by the sum. Why are new PSA slabs loose like the card moves around? That's always been like that. Sometimes they call them kind of rattlers. I don't know if I have any older ones, but I've had some with like 5 cert that would rattle. Have you ever seen the tiny red circle randomly on the back of cards? Yes, I have, Matt. Those are ink dots. So like when they were doing the ink layer, they were missing probably like the blue, for example. And if it's bad enough, it will be considered an error and kind of be bypassed. But often, from what my experience, that will go against your surface subgrade. Just based off my experience, I've seen some that have been like, like the Hitmonlee or the Haunter from Fossil. They have their own variant, or like the Butterfree, the D-stamp error, stuff like that will kind of sneak in as a subgrade qualifier or just a generic qualifier if the ink stain is bad enough. But in most cases, it won't. The rattling is okay. I think Deep Pocket Monster actually did a like one of his early videos. He literally had a device that shook a slab. It was like a Chansey, I think. Like shook a slab for like hours to see if it damaged the card, and it never did. Have I used Curse Polish and got your cards back altered? I don't use any wax, me personally. I think, I don't know. My opinion's kind of been the same. I know people have everyone has their own way of doing stuff. Me personally, I kind of consider it more altering, but so many people do it, and like the big counterpoint to my point is, well, if PSA doesn't catch it, it doesn't matter. I don't know. I guess I'm leaving enough meat on the bones for the people who really want to clean their cards, all right? But that's pretty much it. Has grading become harder or easier in your opinion? I think grading has, I think there's more people that are being educated in grading, I think. And I think more is not being kind of allowed as we move forward. Like the biggest thing that I've seen currently, especially in Modern, is I kind of call them pack folds on the top corners. You see them a lot. I actually see them a lot in like Paldean Fates, just as an example, where the back has these little kind of like corner folds in the back. And sometimes before I would see cards get that and get 10s, but I'm seeing more come back as 9s or even 8s because of it. But that's about it. Okay, Charizard EX. But again, great questions, guys. If you have any more, please let me know. And if you guys are enjoying me answering these questions, let me know by liking the live and sharing the live. I'm here for you guys, so I try to do my best to be as transparent as I possibly can. But if you don't, I will stop yapping and I'll continue with this Charizard EX. So there might be some whitening here on the top right. You can kind of see some of that, again, this lighting area, kind of highlighting some imperfections here. And this looks to be a little bit of some whitening on that top part. I appreciate that, Josh. Thank you. Just got my Paldean Fates Zard back and got a 9 that has those folds. Yeah, exactly. It seems weird, man. It seems like they're becoming more stricter or more strict on that. So let's see. The left side looks good. Bottom left looks good. That looks good. Bottom right looks good. And yes, I think Josh said that. Yeah, so this might be right here. This might also be some degree of, not so much like on the front. Normally when I see this, especially with the light source being where it is, sometimes like the foil, almost like the silvering edge, will reflect a lot. Like, so for example, because I have some jungle here. I'm trying to see. Yeah, jungle and like fossil are notorious for silvering on the edge. But YB, what's going on? Yes, UV lights are a must now. For sure, Josh. That's really good. If your card comes back at 10, do you charge extra due to the value of a card? So if you're talking about like an upcharge from PSA, yes. So like if you declared a card, like if you thought a card was going to get an 8 and you declared it like under the maximum declared value of 250 for like a value submission and it ends up getting a 10 and it's like $600, you might get charged an additional fee to up a tier to fit that maximum declared value. What does the UV light show? I thought it's just to make sure a slab is legit. What I personally use it for, yeah, in addition to checking the watermarks on a PSA slab, Gaz, what's going on, man? Is to check now more than ever, guys. I think this is really important to kind of highlight. Is UV lights are really good at detecting if someone's touching up a card. So someone was talking about Kurt's card care before, but one of the things that is kind of starting to introduce itself in the market is when whitening is observed on a card, people are using almost like a blue powder or a blue pen or something like that to kind of cover up those dots. And sometimes you can detect that with a UV light, which is really important, especially for higher end, like more vintage cards. That's something that UV light it won't like fully detect it, but it'll kind of help you, especially at a show when there's a lot going on. UV lights also will really highlight whitening to make it less brain power, if you will, to kind of catch that stuff. That's awesome, Gaz. Yeah, scanners are a must. It's all good, man. It's good you have true whitening on the edge. The white is just gonna glow. Yeah, exactly, exactly. You won the giveaway, by the way, Mike. I just announced that you won it from your. It's kind of cool. It tells me what submission you won it for, and it was because you were a sub. So congrats. Yeah, so I have a like an Epson flatbed scanner to scan cards. So like if there's singles or stuff like that, I'll use a flatbed scanner to scan. Okay, so the back. So the back of the card. Yeah, this card is definitely not going to get a 9 or a 10, that's for sure. 2 a.m. in the UK, so can't stay long. Well, Gaz, I always appreciate you, man. I always appreciate you stopping in. So that corner looks good. That edge looks good. How can a card looked at by you? Is this? This is free for sure, YB. And once I'm done with this Charizard, I'll go over it because I haven't gone over it in a little bit. Been a certified yapper, which I absolutely love. I can talk about all this stuff. I love debunking or kind of giving my 2 cents on a lot of like weird trends currently in Pokemon. Because there's so many like trade up challenges. Like using UV lights more because people are trying to hide stuff, or just it's just easier to use. It's crazy. But yeah, the back centering looks great. It's really just again, I got the Rico feeding scanner as long as the cards and top loader seem safe enough. Yeah, the other thing too, Gaz, with those types of because I have also one kind of back there, is there's little wheels in the scanner. I think based off what I've seen, it's advised to take those off because sometimes there could be debris or things that get stuck in the wheel that could scratch. I mean, you say you're putting in the top loaders, but just food for thought. There's some stuff out there. Okay, so with the bit of whitening here, so we have 1, 2, 3 on the kind of bottom here. There might be some in this section as well. So we're kind of in, near mint to possibly light play, which would be, and I hate to say it. So we're kind of in, no, we're in like, so if this isn't anything, which I think it is, we're kind of in that 7 range. But if it's a little bit worse, we're in the 6. Because we also have to remember that there are some issues on the front. So we have what appears to be some issues here on the right side, as well as on the top. So this alone, if this is something, like I wouldn't call that mint, right? Like mint is like, that doesn't exist. But, we're kind of in that near mint plus range. But with the whitening on the back, probably leaning more towards that 7. But if there is even more whitening, especially in this section, which I think more is like lighting than anything, we could be in that 6. But I think a kind of a safe like sum or average would probably be a 7. Would be my guess. Simple, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. And so YB, if you are still here, my friend, and anyone else that's wondering how to submit your cards for a future grade review, I'm going to go over that right now. So if you're watching me on my other streaming platforms, which I'm multi-streaming too, the link is going to be in the description. If you're watching me on TikTok, the link is in the bio. So you're going to go to my link tree. And once you're in my link tree, you're going to click or tap the Discord icon on the top of the banner. Once you're in the Discord, you're going to go into the grade review channel and post your cards in there. It's absolutely free. I do these reviews every Wednesday starting at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just make sure to post your pictures, not in top loaders, sleeves, graded, because if there's a scratch, I don't know if it's on the card or on the protection. So just kind of keep that in mind. It is first come, first serve. So the faster you submit, the faster you'll be in next week's grade review. because the queue is pretty much open, which is very, very rare, to be quite honest with you. So just kind of keep that in mind. So the faster you submit, the faster I'll review your cards, and this will always be free. Simple. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Sab, Dave, Josh, thank you guys for the follows. Sounds good, Gaz. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Buying these cards and the guy sent me pics in a sleeve. Is that okay for now? I mean, from a grade review perspective, I won't be able to because, again, if like you can kind of see how in depth I try to go into these reviews, because I don't like streamers who like look at a card and say, yeah, it's good next, that's good next, that's bad next. I want to be able to give insight on why I think these cards are going to get what I think they would get. So if there's sleeves or stuff like that, you have to just kind of keep in mind that my assessment is going to be way like more broad. Like I can't like really narrow it down, if that makes sense. I don't mind, but just know that it's going to be like the gap is going to be much wider if that's the case. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. But yeah, sleeves, like Gaz said, sleeves definitely hide a lot. And so that's why this, again, too, this is a really good exercise for you guys if you ever buy cards on eBay and you're trying to look for grading plays, because eBay now offers that as a service of any card that's above 250. You can submit it immediately to PSA as opposed to sending it to your house or to your address to get graded. So all of these things you got to have to kind of do on your own anyway. Okay. So this Pikachu at first glance looks like that left side is a little bit thicker than the right. So someone was in here. Who was it? I don't know if you're here anymore. Sab or Sibillion. I'm about to go over the ruler again. So make sure you're paying attention. Because here we go. We're about to do it again. So measuring, centering. Again, there's 15,000 different apps and 15,000 different ways of doing it, but this is like this is the root. You can apply this for pretty much everything. Okay? So, imagine you have a ruler. You overlay it on this Pikachu EX. First, and again, I'm just going to call these tick marks, whatever, US, Canada, meters, centimeters, millimeters, half inch, quarter inch. It's all good here, right? So we're just going to call them tick marks for now. So, we're going to take one of the measurements on the left side as best we can. Card's at a little bit of an angle, but we'll kind of work with what we got. So we measure this left side first. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tick marks on the left side. Now we go over and try to find a spot, and this is a really good spot here. Now we can kind of do the same thing. So we got that angled there, and we're going to pretty much, that's as good as probably I can get. We're going to go from this side. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 5 on the left, 4 on the right, and we saw this with the Charizard, but we're going to do it again with the Pikachu. So that's a sum of 9, so we do 5. So the left side divided by the sum of both, so the left side plus the right side. So it's going to be 9. So it's 0.555. So if the grader is feeling good and they round down, it's 55.45, which is technically spot on as much of a tolerance as you can leave it for you be able to get a PSA 10 from centering alone. But if they round up, meaning that they have a bad day, that would put you up to 0.56, so 56.44, which would knock you out of that PSA 10 centering subgrade, which the highest potential grade if the rest of the card is absolutely flawless would be a PSA 9. So hope that he has a good day. That's all I'm saying. I do that and then follow up with a measure. Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's bad. There's just so many of them. That's why like when people ask me like, what website do you use or what apps do you use or do you use AI? There's so many of them that this is a good foundation, and then choose the tool that's right for you to kind of validate what you've measured at the end of the day. If I put a card in Discord, if I miss the next stream, will I be able? Yes, all my videos are uploaded to my YouTube as VODs. The moment the stream is done, they're instantly uploaded. So you can, you don't have to be here. It helps if you're here, if there's something I'm seeing that I need help kind of dissecting, but the VODs always get uploaded the moment stream's done. Reku, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. What matters more to PSA? Centering, corners, edges, all 4. There's 4. So there's centering, corners, edges, and surface. So it's not like a true average of all of them. So there's like different scales. It's really kind of like a feel. There's really not like a true exact math formula. Like there is kind of, but not really. Um, so they kind of account all four. But if there's one that's really bad, like that's kind of where the ceiling is set, if that makes sense. I feel as the card centering app is usually off by a tad. I mean, I'm sure it is. That's why I don't really like to advocate for one or the other because I just simply don't use them. Really, I just kind of do this from experience. Like for the most part, I'm not hunting black labels. Like I don't grade through Beckett. I don't grade through CGC to try to get those pristines or those black labels where the centering really does matter. But I kind of get a sense to where I know if it would get a 10 in PSA. So that's why I don't really use them for that reason. But if I'm hesitant or skeptical, I'll just use a ruler. But they'll say if you're going to use websites, pick one and stick with it. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point that Gaz made. If you do have a tool that you use online, just make sure to stick with it so that you can start gathering that data for yourself to see how accurate it is. Cody, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the support tonight, guys. It really does mean a lot. One of the things that we're going to be doing after grade review is I have all of these cards that you see on my desk. I'm preparing for a Saturday show, so I'm going to be going over those once I'm done with grade review. So we're going to be talking about that Saturday show. Let's see. So does PSA do 0.5s? They do. Really, the one that's like the rarer one is 8.5, but it's so rare. It's so rare. Basically, go into it assuming that they don't. Like you should not assume that they're going to give you 0.5 subgrades like Beckett or CGC. PSA does not do it often. Does not at all. Yeah, Cody. When I'm hitting another card, I'll make sure to do it. Because I actually have a partner stream at 9:30. I'm actually talking a lot. My time is running out. But so that top right corner looks good. Top edge looks good. Top left corner looks good. Yeah, so really a little bit of whitening there on that bottom left corner. That edge looks good. That looks good. A little bit of scratching here by the ear of this Pikachu. Yeah, Wesley, and honestly, that's probably a pretty good strategy because you can kind of get a sense, you know what I mean? Like what you thought was Gambler's 10s, you can kind of adjust, and that's why it's really important to kind of self-grade yourself before you submit and then get that feedback to train yourself to be better at predicting how PSA grades, you know what I mean? Summon and Collect, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that very much. And M, thank you for the heart, man. I really appreciate that. Use the grade and sell PSA. There you go, Trevor. The 8.5, man. Yeah, so there's a little bit of scratch here by the ear. But aside from that, I think we should be good. Now I'm looking, sometimes when I look at the other monitor, because this to me looked to be almost like a dent, but I don't think so. I think it's just how the lighting is. But we'll kind of keep that. You guys might be able to tell, like, if you guys think that's a dent or not. I want to say no, but let me know if you think that is or is not. There's a little bit of some weird discoloration there. But anyway, I'll kind of keep moving forward. Dave, thank you for the liking the live. Appreciate you. Okay, so the back. So the back has a little bit more going on than the front for sure. Centering is good. Semi-first to Beckett Struden to chase the black label. Ooh, nice, Trevor. Good luck, man. Black labels are you guys are a different breed. Those who hunt black labels, you guys are a different breed. Let's see. So we have a little bit of whitening there and there. Sounds good, Gaz. Thank you so much for sticking around, man. All right, so we got that. So we got more whitening in the bottom left corner there. The bottom edge looks good. So really just a lot of whitening so far in these edges. So we have some right here, some right here, some right there, and we got a pretty gnarly scratch here on this right side. If you guys can see this, let me just try to highlight it real quick. So right about in there, have a little bit of a scratch. Aside from that, I don't see anything else on the surface, so we should be good. Okay, so now that we have the front and the back, so the centering is kind of in that range of like good day, bad day. Could be 55-45 or 56-44, depending on how good the grader is feeling. So we have 2 points of whitening in the bottom left corner, as you can kind of see in these circled areas here. So we have 2 bits of whitening there. We also have what appears to be some scratching here by the ear, and maybe a dent, but I'm leaning more towards no than yes. I think it's just a lighting thing. But as we flip it over on the back, we have a little bit more whitening. So right now, I'd say the best the card can do is probably a 7. So when we're looking at the edge here, so we have 1, 2, 3 points of whitening, 4, kind of go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points of whitening with a scratch here. So, you know, we're kind of in that range of like, would this be near mint or LP? So if this were me, we're kind of in that like weird, like, and I really hate that I say this a lot, because when I think of a card as light play, I normally give it a PSA 6. If I think a card is near mint, I normally give it as a PSA 7. And in the year 2025, I hate saying between 6 and 7, because you know what happens when you say 6, 7 in this day and age. It just people go nuts. All right. But with the amount of whitening, with the amount of scratching, with the mild bit of scratching here on the right side, we're kind of in that range where some people could argue that you're kind of in that light play plus category. But I've also seen PSA 7s around this same condition. So really what it kind of boils down to is this right here. I'm kind of going to ignore that for now. I would say with what I'm seeing mildly, I would probably say that this is a pretty weak 7. If there was more whitening on the edges, or if there was more scratches that I could tell, it would lean more probably towards that light play. So it's really kind of in that 6, 7 range, right? My guess, if we had more pictures, I bet I would probably lean more towards the 6, just because of that one scratch on the front. My guess is that there's probably more on the front. But I have just seen some gnarly 7s recently, and that's really kind of where I'm leaning more towards. But it could literally go either way, to be quite honest with you. More so if we saw more pictures on the front, probably make more of a determination. But as we say in 2025, it's around 6, 7. Sorry, chat. It is what it is. I don't know why I had to say it. You guys maybe do it. All right, so a few people have asked me how to submit your cards. So, and if you're watching me on TikTok, my link is in the bio. Once you're in my bio, you're going to click or tap the Discord icon on the top. Once you have joined the Discord, you're going to go in the grade review channel and submit your cards. It's absolutely for free. Always has been, always will be. However, it is first come, first serve, so the faster you submit your cards, the faster you'll be reviewed. I do this every Wednesday starting at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. You don't have to be here. The VOD always gets uploaded once stream is done. Just make sure that your cards are outside of sleeves, protective sleeve. I don't know why I combined like 5 words at the same time. Make sure they're outside of sleeves, because I don't know if the scratch is on the sleeve, on the card, whatever. So the faster you submit, the faster you'll be in a future grade review on a Wednesday, and that's how you do it. That's pretty much it. Scuba, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Are they only graded live? Yes. For what I do, yes. It's my content, man. I don't know. Sometimes people, like, if you post like in like the media channel, some people will weigh in. But for the most part, if you want like an in-depth, I save them for this time because I'm just so busy throughout the week. That Wednesdays are kind of like my dedicated time to kind of give a really good review on people's cards. User 1928, bunch of random anonymous numbers. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. All right. So next up is Dinfar with the Espeon VMAX. So let's take a look. So we got multiple pictures here. Hello, new here, and your analysis seems solid. Around what percentage of your cards come back as tens? So mine, I think as of now, I have to really update it because I think the last time I did an update request, because people will let me know after they've gone through the grade review process, submit their cards, and tell me their results. I think the last time I reported that was either May or June, and I was at an 89 to 90% accuracy rating for the grade reviews, and this is online too, so um, obviously not 100, but there's a lot of factors that I simply can't see on a computer screen, but it's pretty high. But in person, I think it's like 92, I think 91 or 92. Because I'm really conservative when it comes to, so I rarely submit stuff that I think is gonna get tens. To be quite honest with you. Because I kind of talk about gamblers 10s. I don't really submit stuff that's like a gambler's 10 often. But like this Espeon VMAX. Let's take a look. Centering looks good. Again, for VMAXs, if you guys want to know where to look, this is where you look for VMAXs. Right here. Is in this like kind of lighter section. Wesley, you need to be stopped. You are out of control. You need to stop yourself. Next, you're going to be doing Fortnite dances with AJ and Big Justice. And then you're going to be off the rails. How dare you. Guards, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. And Nim, thank you for the follow. Dave, thank you for the follow over on Twitch. Thank you. All right, so centering on this is actually pretty good. Not going to lie, pretty good. The corners look good from this angle. Now it's really the back that I'm worried about. Juan, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that very much, my friend. Okay. So, you can send me cards to look at, for sure. I will go over that in just a second. So, there are two things that I'm seeing that if I had this in person, I would be very hesitant to send as a 10. So first, the back is thicker on the right side than it is the left. On paper, PSA says 75-25 ratio, which is way more lenient. Thought, thank you for following me over on Twitch as well. Thank you. So the back is a little bit thicker on the right than is the left. It should be within that 75-25, but me personally, I tend to stick with 60-40. I know it's kind of like they say that it shouldn't, but I often see it as they care, right? But that's really not what I'm worried about. The biggest thing that I'm worried about, again, what I kind of mentioned with the Pikachu, and you guys might even be able to see it on the top here, and that is the wrong widget, is this right here. So without me zooming in, you can kind of see this section a little bit darker than the rest. So with the light source coming from the right side, so you can kind of see this this top right corner being obviously illuminated with light, but then it also kind of gets randomly darker here, which normally tells me that there's a little bit of a dent or a dip in the card, which if that is true, that is actually going to have a significant impact on your surface grade. So much so that it might get you a 6. Because I have seen cards that have been flawless with the exception of something like that and have them come back as 6s. Now what Chaos is saying is true. This would be a really good example on what you should do with like a humidor technique to try to press that out. Now there's a lot of tools out there. I have an affiliate with Rocket Collects. Definitely check him out on the on how to go through that from a guide perspective. But that would be something that would be worth exploring, because if that is true, that would give you a 6 most likely, because they'll see that. Hey Chris, how's it going, man? Welcome back, man. In addition, I also see this guy right here. So this little bit of what appears to be an ink blemish. And so something like this, some people would say, hey, is that, do I get an error? Do they like kind of overlook that? The ones that are like a little bit bigger or more predominant, like, we're talking about the Butterfree stamp D error in Jungle. We're talking about like the Heart error, I think, on the Clefairy base set. Hitmonlee Inkstain error, Haunter Inkstain error from Fossil. Stuff like that normally warrants their own grading qualifier. And there are some that also are kind of more generic in nature that will give you that grading qualifier. But something like this on screen is too small enough to where it's like, oh, it warrants its own qualifier, if that makes sense. So most likely they wouldn't overlook this because it's an ink error. It was an imperfection during the process that doesn't hold enough weight, in my opinion, to give it like you just ignore it kind of thing. So this card for me, again, for modern, is pretty much 10 or bust, right? Most people in the market say, if it's a 9, people price it at raw. You hear that time and time again. It's still true until the market changes. Something like this, I probably wouldn't grade expecting a 10. The biggest reason, and it's probably should be your main focus, is this right here. This little bit of darkness, which to me, and you guys in chat might disagree or not, to me it looks like a mild dip or a mild like dent, or a dip rather. It's not really a dent, but it's more of a dip. That would most likely warrant it to get a 6 if the rest of the card is good. But that's just my experience. I actually cracked a few PSA 6s that have kind of had something very similar to that. That's kind of where that's coming from. But those are huge when it comes to grading. So just keep that in mind. Even though it looks small, that's like at the best it's like a 6, if that is true. Yeah, that's my guess too, Trev. Something like that can probably get flattened pretty easily. All right, next up is Daft. Daft Johnny has some crazy cards coming up. And one of the things that they've submitted is probably the craziest swirl pattern I have ever seen on a Lugia. Look at that, chat. That is crazy. That is probably one of the best position swirls I have ever seen on a Lugia. That's like the only way it could be better if it was closer to the mouth to make it look like a Hyper Beam. But that's still really, really solid. So super excited to review that. But yeah, a lot of really good cards from Daft here. Really good. So yeah, this is crazy. So Lugia is obviously the chase in Neo Genesis and probably for the Neo stuff aside from the Shinings. The reason why Lugia is so hard to grade, and you can say the same thing about cards like Snorlax in Jungle, Vaporeon from Jungle, Lapras from Fossil, what else? Sabrina's Gengar from Gym Hero, Giovanni's Persian. All of those cards have what I kind of call a large holo to Pokemon ratio, meaning that there is a huge section of the card that is just straight holographic. And this Lugia is probably one of the biggest culprits of this. Like, this entire bottom left section of the card is just straight holo. So, in addition, colorless cards like the Lugia and the Snorlax that I mentioned, scratches on these types of cards pop way more than cards like, that are darker in nature, like the Sabrina's Gengar, or like a fighting type, like stuff like that can kind of hide it a little bit more. But these are so easy to scratch. It is unbelievable. Underscore, thanks for the follow, I guess. I don't really know how to pronounce your name, just characters, but thank you. So we're going to do our best. So the first thing I notice is that the right side's a little bit thicker than the left. I don't really need to measure it. I can kind of just see that it is. So the top right, the other thing Yeah, Josh, this is probably one of the best ones. Yeah, just submit it in, like, the queue's closed for tonight, but definitely submit it in the Discord. The link is in the bio. If you just go to the Discord and submit in the grade review channel. Um, so this card is a really good indicator. Reg, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Is a really good indicator of what you can do with like cleaning a card, like just with the basics of it, right? So this right here, these two little dark spots can probably just be removed with something as simple as distilled water and a Q-tip and or a microfiber cloth. So very, very easy to be able to remove that. It doesn't alter the card. You're not using anything other than distilled water, but make sure to use distilled water because it has no minerals in it to cause potential scratching or damage to the card. That will be really easy to improve that surface grade if you can just wipe those dirt marks off. Again, some more here as well. And I'll go to the hollow in a second. I'm just kind of looking at the edges here. So this left edge looks actually pretty good. That left corner looks okay. And I'm kind of looking at my other monitor too, because sometimes you guys see stuff that I don't, because I have my brightness on my main monitor like really high to see some stuff. But sometimes dark spots or blemishes kind of get hidden with that brightness. So I'm trying to look to see. Once he cleans the corner, though, the border will be a lot brighter than the rest, so I would do it all. Yeah, for sure. So we have some there as well. Yeah, so pretty much everything I marked in on the yellow border could probably be removed. Now, before I hit the hollow, just checking the text here. It's got one sad corner on the back. Oh, no. The text looks really good. Now, for the hollow, so from this perspective, we have what appears to be a print line going across here. So why I think it's a print line, it's very straight in nature. So that's why I kind of think that it is. We also have what appears to be some other print lines here. And I'll kind of draw it like a line as opposed to a rectangle here. But kind of like right in this section, these are some scratches that I see. A beautiful swirl placement. Possible some dirt here on the wing in that section as well. But aside from that, I think we're looking okay. So that's pretty much what I see on the front. Again, scratches are very, very common on Lugias, especially in this bottom left section. So let's take a look at the back. And the back we are having some issues with. Ashley, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So the back, let's see. So centering looks good. The left and the right is a little bit thicker on the bottom. But the top, so we kind of start seeing some of that whitening appear here. So on that top right section, that top center looks okay. That top left appears to be okay. Yeah, I hear you, Chris. I'm gonna be in about 15 minutes. Actually, I gotta kind of have to run through. I have a planned co-op stream with Wasteland, playing some Halo co-op. If you guys want to stick around for that, we've been playing that when we have the time. So if you guys want to stick around, it's always kind of fun to do. Definitely lost track of time. I yapping too much. So there's some whitening on that left side. Whitening here. Some whitening in that bottom left. This can probably be wiped off on the bottom as well as this. No, I'm not gonna. No worries, man. I'm not gonna. I should be able to get most of what we're looking at. Because right now, I mean, honestly, with what I'm kind of seeing on the back, especially in this section, we're kind of like leaning into that like LP range. Because we have like assuming that we can kind of get rid of the dirt on the front side, it's really just the scratches on the front that we're kind of like going in from 8 to 7 at best. But when we look at the back, that's really kind of where it kind of comes into, are we leaning again more into that dreaded combination of the 6-7, right? So that whitening is a little bit aggressive where it might kind of fall out of that near mint range. We have some whitening, what appears to be on this left side, in addition to the one on the bottom left, but I can kind of see it, again, I can kind of see it a little bit both ways. If there was a little bit more whitening or a little bit more predominant like corner wear on the top left or the bottom right, I could see it getting a 6. But, I would probably, I would argue on paper that, unless there's something else that I'm not seeing on the scratching here, especially from this angle, you're kind of in that set, like that lower 7 range anyway. And something like this, to be quite honest with you, I kind of mentioned it with the Crystal Ho-Oh last week, but something like this at this caliber, if we're kind of in that range, and I really don't want to say it, guys. You know what I want to say? I'm not going to say it again. I would say if you can clean those dots off and submit it, you probably have a good chance of getting a 7. And you might get the grade lower if there's worse hollow scratches than we can't see on stream. But I'd probably argue that it probably would get possibly a 7. And so kind of just weigh that in. Weigh that in with when you're trying to look at it from, like, if you're looking at it from like a return on investment perspective, like if if this was your personal collection as a kid and it's, pretty much cost you 0, it might be worth it, because people are going to try to critique it as, oh, it's light play. Oh, it's near mint. You're going to have to fight that a lot. So just kind of keep that in mind. A little pokey paste. Halo, yeah. Halo in almost 9:30, hopefully. So we'll be starting that soon. So the light Dragonite. Top almost looks like it's heavier, but I think we're within that range. But there is some dirt for sure. Some dirt here on the top. Kind of that, what people are calling that pokey mold. The fact that a PSA 9 cards goes for raw makes all this worthless pretty much. I agree with modern. I do not agree with vintage. So for me, for grading, modern I agree. It's 10 or bust. For vintage, as a whole, I normally submit if it's 8 or higher. And if it's like grails, like shinings or gold stars or stuff that's like really hard or doesn't come up often in TCG Player, it's still worth grading because there's going to be much more sales data in the graded version versus the raw. And it helps legitimize those higher chase cards. Let's see. So we got the dirt mark on the top. And we have some issues on the sides. Let's kind of take a screenshot here. Do I clean and fix cards people send to you? I used to, but I ran out of time. So I kind of defer it to other people in the community. One of them being Rocket Collects, I think. Rockets Collects. I think I have it on my, I have the link on my website. It's in my, my bio. So I have some dirt there. Have a little bit of something there. Is scalping a major thing in Pokemon market still, or has it died? Yes, it definitely is. It definitely is, but it's always fun as a vendor to not buy from them because they try to offload it. It's really fun to shut down people trying to sell stuff that clearly still has like target tags on it. All right, so we have some whitening on the left side. Have some whitening there. Where else? Bottom looks good, actually. Right side, a little bit of whitening here. And then the hollow, we have some scratching here in that bluer section. Josh, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. I have a question. Would you rather have a first edition non-hollow Moltres or a hollow non-first? So I am an advocate of, get the card, not the grade kind of thing. And I would prefer a holo over a non-holo. That's just like my 8-year-old self saying that. So I always prefer the holo over the non-holo. So really that's it from what I see on the front of this thing. It's just that dirt and like those mild scratches, but so far, I mean, looks pretty good. And then on the back, ooh, we got a nice chunk of Pokemold, chat. I mean, I can't not see it. It's like right here. Look at that thing. Boom. That is on there. That looks really easy to wipe off, though, to be quite honest with you. Gonna attend any major shows? Not like Collecticons or anything like that. But I have a lot of shows coming up. I have one this Saturday. I have 2 in November and then 1 in December. So I have 4 more shows this year. Yeah, I have a lot of cleaning stuff. I have a cleaning video actually, Daft, on my main page. That kind of goes over. It's really not that bad. It's just really like as long as you have cards to practice on, that's my biggest advice. Is just have cards to practice on, not practice on cards that are like that you're really nervous about. Because that way you can kind of get your skills up, get your experience up, and make it a lot easier for you. Right now I'm just kind of highlighting some whitening here on the sides. And I know I'm cruising, Waste. I'm cruising. Please forgive me. For those of you who don't know, I am going to be doing Halo co-op with Wasteland, who is currently in chat. Say hi to Waste, chat. And she's most likely going to betray me with grenades probably 5 times, I'd guess. Maybe 6, depending on how the night goes. So yeah, we're going to see. So we're going to be playing with her. Super stoked. Milo, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Yeah, so really the main issues are just on the top. So the top corners and the top edge are primarily the biggest issues. So these specifically, I would be very hesitant to call these near mint, especially this one. So, there is an argument that you can try to like fold some of that back if you can. But if you can't, then you're looking more towards that 6. And if you can't get rid of this stuff, then you're really kind of looking at like this is disgusting. But yeah, I mean the card looks good. It's just that stuff on the back that if left untreated or if you can't do anything with it, because these are pretty aggressive from what I can see. Probably wouldn't be comfortable. It'd probably be more like light play plus. More as a 6. But if you can flatten it out, then, maybe a 7. But to me, probably more like a really strong 6, especially if there's more scratching on the front, which I kind of saw. Genuinely didn't know how harsh PSA was with Pokemon. They 10 anything on One Piece. Yeah, right, Javi. I wish that was the case with the 2 PSA One Piece promos that I got. They were off-center like crazy, dude. They were awful. They were absolutely awful. Let's see. So next is the Shining Steelix. So one of the lower end of the shinies. I think like you guys might be able to agree or disagree. I feel like for the shinies, the Steelix and the Noctowl I think are kind of seen as like the lower of the shinings. So they're not as sought after. But so a little bit of whitening there on the top. A little bit of whitening on the chin. Filio, thank you for the follow. And Lim Winzen, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that very much. So we have a little bit more of some Pokemold here. Again, these things need a bath desperately. But the edges look good. Corner looks good. I'm just wondering if that was dirt on my monitor or the Steelix. But we should be good. So that front looks actually pretty clean, aside from those 2 bits that I just kind of highlighted there. Am I a Pokemon teacher? Class is in session, Filio. I'm watching you. Don't chew gum in my class. I'm watching you. Is that where I do like the NPC teacher stuff, chat? Is that what I need to do? Get all dressed up as in a suit and tie and hit the whiteboard when you guys give me donations or whatever. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, you were late. Normally I keep the door locked and have you miss class, but you snuck in. I think it'd be cool science teacher. Oh, there you go. Yes. Talking about all this Pokemold. So there's that dent that we saw in the front. So that's kind of bringing us down probably to like an 8 or even a 7 just from that alone. Yeah, so all the science and chemicals and talking about distilled water. You know what? Maybe you guys have a point. The Kyogre is good, man. The Kyogre and the Groudon are amazing. So right now I'm just kind of highlighting some more whitening here. This one's, it's really just kind of the dirt on the back and that little bit of a dent on the top. So, you know, this to me on the bottom looks like some of that blue layer is removed a little bit. And that little bit of whitening there on that corner. I saw something that you did not see. All right, well, what is it, mister? What is it? Would you make long-form content going through your grading process? I think I have before. But YouTube's really bad at pushing long-form for some people. But it's there. On the front. On the top of the art. Talking about this. And this. Maybe some scratches here. Let's see. But yeah, I would say for this bad boy, it's really just that dirt, man. It's the dirt that's really kind of, it's the dirt that's kind of killing it. Shout out Bucky's, by the way. Shout out the Buckster. So yeah, I would probably say with like the scratches and that notable ding in the top. Again, you're probably looking at a 7 on this one because the rest of the card is pretty good. There's not as much whitening that I thought I would see, especially on the front. But the back is kind of like, if it was a little bit worse, I can see kind of like light play. But just that, like, although it's aggressive, yes, it's really the only one that I see. So I think a 7 for this Shining Steelix would probably be more appropriate, in my opinion. The Zard. What do I think of tag grading? From a return on investment perspective, PSA will always be my top answer. From a personal collection, if I started to grade, maybe I would have done it through them. But at the end of the day, it's just, I don't know. From a return on investment, until the market says otherwise, it's PSA or bust. Sorry. The student pointed out something I overlooked, or maybe didn't see the first pass. What do you use to centering on something like the XY Mega Charizard? You just find some border. I can't remember like specifically for that card, but there's always a spot that you can see. So this one, let's see. So the Zard boy. We have some hairs, chat. The Charizard needs to shave. But the holo actually looks really good. Tag graded have been selling for the same as PSAs. Well, I would say that I think there might be some instances of it, but there's way more sales data for PSA, so I think more confidence is in PSA at the moment. I'm sure there are some instances where, you know, that is true, but until the whole market agrees, it is what it is. What if PSA takes 8 months from the Netherlands, by the way? Well, again, until the market changes, if you want the best return on your investment, it's going to be PSA. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're trying to sell you on a different grading company. Unless it's black labels, like Beckett or CGC black labels. More Beckett than CGC. Um, sorry, just is what it is. So just kind of weigh that. You know what I mean? If you're looking to sell it or looking for it as an investment or whatever, that's just the truth. So hair or dirt, something like that. Mr. Fantasy, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Guess yeah, it's just like I think all these cards just need a little bit of a quick pass with a microfiber and some distilled water just to kind of get rid of some of this dirt. To be quite honest with you. We get a lot of damaged PSA 10 slabs here that don't sell. Any tips? I don't really have tips for like damaged PSA. It just sounds like they're either not doing it properly or that they're getting damaged during transit. So I don't know like what when you say damage, I don't know what part of it's being damaged, if that makes sense. Okay. So we have some more dirt and stuff on here. Let me just... I do not fix cards. I do give resources on how I treat cards. The card itself, so quality control, yeah. Because sometimes there are instances where there's something left on it or whatever, and you can rehold, you can submit to reholder, because they go through such a volume, right, that the odds of something happening are not zero, right? So, do people still buy Pokemon cards? Absolutely, absolutely they do. Scratch here by the snoot. So any more print lines? Let's see. That's really the only one that I see. Aside from that, man, the card's really good. The card's in really good shape. Aside from just like the pokey mold on the sides, to be quite honest with you. But the back is a different story. So let's take a screenshot of the back. So centering is good on this. That corner looks okay. That edge looks okay. A little bit of whitening here. A little bit of discoloration here. Base unlimited. Yes, Trevor. Red Kingdom, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. How do you fix the white edges? You cannot. If anyone tells you otherwise, they are trying to sell you on some alteration paint or dust. I don't know what people call it. There are instances where you can like technically fold the layer back if it's folded over, but anyone that tells you that you can repair it is straight up lying to you. Or trying to sell you a product that would get you in trouble for altering. I collect TCG. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So we got here. Here. We got some here. Oh. Here. Here. The button's supposed to be attached to the red side of the Pokeball. Not for cards, no. No, it's supposed to have that little illumination between the two. It's always the corners, man. Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of whitening. We're kind of in that 6 range, to be honest. There's a lot of whitening on this left side. And a lot of kind of mild discoloration here and here. Here. Here on this right side. Possibly there. Some surface scratches. A lot of whitening on these edges, guys. A lot. Has something there. So, like, for example, if I zoom out, all of this, like, left side and kind of more towards, like, the bottom middle and this right side is pretty notable for whitening. But the front, I think, is really what's kind of saving the Zard, to be honest. I'd say, again, you have to make sure that you try to at least clean this, like, on the edges on the front side. That's all just dirt, which you can probably get rid of with some distilled water and microfiber and stuff like that. That's probably what I would do, because the front is fantastic aside from all that dirt. but it's really the back that's giving us the biggest issue with all that whitening. A lot on that left side, the bottom, and a little bit on the bottom right, kind of in the middle section. It's almost like a mirrored J. So I would say with the amount of whitening, I probably lean more towards the 6 because of it, because of how much is on the back of the card. And I would probably say, like, if I had this in person, I would probably list it as light play if it was in the condition that I'm seeing it now. I wouldn't feel very comfortable listing it as near mint just because of the whitening on the back. So in my opinion, I think this Charizard EX would get the 6 because of all this whitening that I've marked on the back, would be my guess. And now the Venusaur with a pretty nasty dent. I'm good. Thanks for explaining this to me. I'm about to submit my first batch. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're finding value in it. So thank you for that. It's always nice to hear if people are. Gotta weigh the base set pop control, right? Man, don't get me started on that. Okay, so Venusaur time. And then after this, because I definitely have been yapping so much, I'm going to be doing a Halo co-op stream with Wasteland here in a few minutes. So I'll definitely be doing that if you want to stay in and kind of chat with me and kind of hang out, play some Halo. So Venusaur. Let's take a look. So we have some there. Let's see. The centering is actually pretty good. So that corner is good. That corner is good. There's a little bit of like, almost like a weird dip. I've seen these little weird dips almost get caught as trimming for modern stuff recently, which is really odd. But I'm going to be playing Halo with another streamer, which I am 7 minutes late to. You look at also Japanese cards I just pulled. Yes, I look at, as long as it's Pokemon, I pretty much look at everything. I actually look at a pretty good chunk of Japanese, to be quite honest with you. So a little bit of whitening or a little bit of silvering on that bottom middle. Got something there. We have some scratches here, kind of near the petals of the Venusaur. Have some scratches by the feet. So we're kind of, just from scratching alone, especially up here, we're already at a 7. I know, I'm a late man. I can already feel the betrayals, and it's warranted. I can already feel it. Okay, so that is a pretty noticeable dent on the back, too, in that same location. So we have this right here, pretty bad, to be quite honest with you. Because that's like almost like a whole chunk removed. So we're probably like at a 6, maybe even a 5 because of it, because that is pretty aggressive. We'll have a little bit of whitening on the top right, a little bit there on the top left. Again, kind of the same song and dance that we were kind of talking about with the Charizard is also present here on the Venusaur. A lot of issues here on that bottom section. Jamie, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Yes, Japanese has much better quality control, like what Trevor's saying, for sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, if I had this card again as like in person, once I'm done with this Venusaur, I'll definitely go over it before I hop onto what I'm doing next. With that dent on the top specifically, so here's what I'm kind of looking at right here. You can kind of see this really big dip here in that section, and you can kind of see it translate to the front here. Like a good chunk of it's kind of removed. I would feel very uncomfortable if I had this in person, listing this as near mint. So I'd probably, with what we're kind of seeing on the front, very mild scratching and just that little dent on the top. Well, not little, pretty major dent on top. Translate to the back as well with some of this whitening on the back. Probably light play because that's really the only thing that I see. But it's definitely not near mint for sure. If there was a little bit more whitening, especially on this right, because this right side is actually really clean. This whole right side, with the exception of that little white dot, and here is pretty clean too. It's just these little bits of mild whitening, kind of like in the left middle, kind of left bottom, like bottom left section, is pretty good. If it was a little bit worse, I'd probably say mod play to give that PSA 5. But I still think that this Venusaur would probably come out as a kind of like a middle of the road 6, would be my opinion for that bad boy. Do you think it could get a 1? No, it'd have to be like way worse. Definitely like folded in half, thrown in the laundry. It'd have to be way worse for that. Okay, so before I hop into playing some games, I'm going to go over one more time how to submit your cards. This is completely free service, by the way. I don't charge anything for it. It's a way for me to give back to the community and educate as much as I can. So if you're watching me on anything other than TikTok, the link is in the description. If you're watching me on TikTok, the link is in the bio to go to my link tree. So once you are in my link tree, you're going to click or tap the Discord icon, which is going to send you to the Discord channel. Once you're there, you're going to submit your cards in the grade review channel to be submitted for a future grade review. I do this every Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Waste, if you submit a card that is crumpled, I am going to be upset, but it better be good. There is one person that actually, I don't condone this, but someone like dunked their card in water and submitted it for grade review. I don't know, you guys are freaks, but you know what? Why not? Submit it anyway, Waste. Who cares? So, free service. Always has been, always will be. I stream this every Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So when you do submit in the grade review channel, just make sure that your cards are outside of top loaders, penny sleeves, not graded, because if there's a scratch, I don't know if it's on the card, if it's on the top loader, I just don't know, right? So just make sure that it's as visible as I possibly can to give the best assessment, because you obviously see I yap a lot. So I try to give my best for you guys in that regard. So what's good, brother over on the tube? So I'm going to be gaming now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be switching over to playing Halo with Wasteland, who is very patiently waiting for me. So TikTok doesn't get mad at me. I have to end the stream, switch categories, and I'm going to be hopping back on because I got to make sure everything works first. So if you guys want to stick around, I'm going to be playing Halo with Wasteland, another really cool streamer. Does a lot of Armored Core stuff, does a lot of other bunch of really cool stuff over on her channel, so definitely check her out. I'm going to be playing co-op with her very soon. So yeah, if you are going after this, appreciate you guys staying by. I am going to be back online in about 2 minutes. I just have to switch categories and do all that stuff, get everything prepared. So if you guys are going to be sticking around, I'll see you in a few minutes. If not, I will see you next week. So I will be back in just a moment. I'm going to be switching categories. But again, if you are peacing out, which is totally okay, I really appreciate all the love and support. And for those of you who are staying, instead of me talking in circles, I will see you in a few minutes. So I'll be right back.